I don't know how you want to.
First on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like you to remain standing for a moment of silence for Elliot Stanley. He's the father of a former councilman, and he was a member of the Warren Planning Board. And also for Ron Servant, I think he was a founding member of the Volunteer Historic Committee. Thank you.
I didn't know about Mr. Servant.
Next on the agenda is the swearing in. We have Judge Nike here to swear in the two new council members. From here, I'm gonna turn it over to the judge.
If you could both come forward, thank you. Please raise your right hand. Do you, Louis A. Rigo and Derek L. Trombley, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution and obey the laws of the United States of America and of the state of Rhode Island, that you will, in all respects, observe the provisions of the charter and ordinances of the town of Warren, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the town council for which you have been elected until another be engaged in your place, or until you are legally discharged therefrom. So help you God. All right, congratulations.
Relations.
Okay, next on the agenda is the public comment period. This is a space where anyone can get up and address the council on any concerns they have. We cannot take any action on these matters because it's not an official agenda item. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name is Connie McGreevy. I just want to make one quick comment urging the town council, as I have in the past, to fully support the Department of Public Works. I think they do a terrific job. They've got a very big charge, and I just want to laud them for all the hard work that they do. I'm mainly here to talk about the zoning board decision that's before you. The case is Carton v. Warren. It's really obvious that the town should not pursue litigation if you have made yourself familiar with the details in the ruling. The town was wrong from the start, I'm afraid. In this instance, it was a disservice that this lawsuit was allowed to proceed. Anyone looking at the facts as validated by the judge, who rightfully ruled in favor of the Cartons, can see that disposition of the case is really the proper cause of action. Prolonging this case is really a disservice to the Cartons as well as to the taxpayers, because we all ultimately bear the costs of these lawsuits, and they get appealed and appealed and appealed. We should not ignore the hardship that's been imposed on parties challenging the town, especially as a result of this extended delay, post-COVID on top of everything, when their project was a building project, because it's just not acceptable and it was really avoidable. I understand there are always pitfalls when volunteers serve on boards and commissions. I've done this myself. Sometimes people don't have background or training, and they're not always sure about how to make procedurally proper findings. It's also not possible to know if influence is being brought on some of these volunteers to rule a certain way. And I'm just being completely candid. Why do I say this? Because my husband and I had no choice in 2001 but to sue the town when there was an adverse ruling by the zoning board, when they failed to provide due process to us. It was an improper application by an individual who happened to be on the police force. So there was extra sort of factors and variables involved with that. And the night of the hearing, the solicitor's representative did not apparently know how to advise the zoning board. We were shocked and we were not allowed to even comment, and incredulous when we had an adverse ruling against us, forcing us as non-lawyers to spend money and to go and defend our position. Actually, ironically, on behalf of the town, because we felt that the laws, the ordinances were there for a reason, and we were there to try to uphold them. In the end, a judge ruled in our favor, citing the obvious missteps by the zoning board and the town. The case made it into a law journal article, which should have sent a loud, clear message and a humbling message to the town. I urge you to quit this lawsuit and be extra vigilant in making sure these cases don't get legs in the first place. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, that being said, the next item on the agenda is some recognitions. The first one is for the Market Street Pub and Grill 30th anniversary. We do have some state reps here that have they would like to present too. I will make the town's presentation first. How you doing?
Good.
Am I in the right spot on the agenda? Yeah.
I think you're doing all right.
Okay, this, we have a certificate of recognition and a plaque, and it's congratulating Market Street Pub on their 30th anniversary. It is hereby awarded the certificate of recognition with the congratulations of the Warren Town Council for their highly successful, innovative business, which consistently practices exemplary corporate citizenship. I've known the proprietors of Market Street Pub for quite some time. I was very good friends with their dad. And they've always been a great steward of the public, always helping out when they could, doing what they could to give back to the citizens. And it's my honor to present them with this plaque.
So much.
And it's-
Thank you so much. You go, you're next, kid. You're next.
Don't go yet, yeah. Thank you. On behalf of my colleague Jason Knight and myself and the entire House of Representatives, it is my honor to give a resolution celebrating the achievement of Market Street Pub for 30 years in business. And of course, always to celebrate a woman-owned and operated business. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're gonna bring you to the Thank you. Thank you.
And obviously, on the agenda, I'm not there to present a citation because I actually presented my citation at the pub itself. So the young ladies know how much I appreciate what they do for the town of Warren. Most significantly is what they do for charitable donations. Any individual that had some kind of hardship within their lives can go to Market Street Pub and they would gladly have a fundraiser for them and provide whatever resources they could. And anytime you go to these particular fundraisers, you'll see tons of raffles, prizes that are donated throughout the community. And it's a big asset to the community. And I'm so glad that 30 years ago, I was here as the president of the town council to provide them with a liquor license and an entertainment license. So congratulations.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have some recognition for a couple of past councilmen. We're gonna do them one at a time here. The first one is for Brant Heckert, and it is an appreciation for his 11 years of service. I believe it was planning board and council, correct? Planning board and council, on behalf of all citizens for his hard work, dedication, and commitment to the town by the Warren Town Council. Brant was always an asset to work with. He got into the numbers a little bit more than most of us did. Sometimes he was a pain in the butt about it, but it was always good, and he was always great to walk in the parades with. He was just, we just had some comments that we'll keep between ourselves. So it was always an asset to walk with him. Brant, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to say, thank you to all the citizens of Warren who supported me over the years and gave me the opportunity to serve. I considered it a real privilege to serve, and I'd like to say good luck to the new council. Gentlemen, thank you. And ladies.
Okay, and next we have Steve Kalenda. In appreciation for his 15 years of service, I believe that's zoning board and council, on behalf of all citizens for his hard work, dedication, and commitment to the town by the Warren Town Council. Steve was a very, very good ally on the council, a hard worker. He was also fun to march with in the parades, except he had a tendency to lose the banners. Now that he's not on the council, he'll probably find it in his garage somewhere. But it was always a pleasure to serve with you, and thank you very much.
Yes, I was on zoning. No, I was not on zoning in 2001, so don't pin that one on me, okay? I can't say thank you enough to all the folks that I served with, my fellow council members, every member who's an employee in the town of Warren. I can't say thank you enough. Between the fire department, the police department, Public Works, the clerk's office. I'll miss my phone calls with you guys. You guys were fabulous. And of course, my wife, who I am married, my wife Laura, who has supported me through everything that I've done. I can't say thank you enough. I will miss you all very much. I am so honored and proud to have been able to serve this community, and I look forward to the new council moving forward. I just tell you to vote your conscience, and best of luck.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have the election of officers. First on the agenda is the town council president. Do we have any nominations?
I would, can you hear me? Gotta move up. I would like to nominate Joseph D. Pasquale for president.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Joe. No, that was all in favor. He just asked me if I was opposed. No. Those were 5 in the affirmative.
You can, am I taking the reins for this one?
It's up to you. You're the president.
Next is, town council vice president. And, we should nominate Kerry Cronin.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have new officers. I want to thank the council, and I look forward to working with this new team, and we're going to get right to work. So continuing on the agenda, reappointments, pages 7 and 8. Mr. DeSister, do I have to read each reappointment?
That's fine, but otherwise you can just batch them.
Okay.
Mr. President, this is Stowe.
I have to recuse myself on one of the reappointments for the 2 trustee positions for the George Hale Library. Is it appropriate to make a motion to sever in that case, or what would be the appropriate motion?
I think what you need to do is say that you will recuse on the vote as to those 2, and then you can participate in the rest.
Very well.
Okay, so first group, Arts and Culture Commission. Do we have any names that we want to pull?
Can we just clarify that everybody who is on the list in each of the groups has expressed their willingness to continue to serve unless there's a reason why we express that they cannot?
Correct. Everyone who has a name on this agenda has responded positively to their request to give us their position, whether they wanted to serve or not, and everyone here is in the affirmative to continue serving. So Arts and Culture Commission, 1-year term. Anybody pulled? Hearing none. Everyone in favor? Is there a motion for everyone on the list to be voted in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have the Associate Housing Corp., 1-year term.
I'll make a motion.
Second, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, Bristol Warren Regional Joint Finance Committee.
I have 2 changes to note. One would be we need to replace former President Hanley with new President Joseph D. Pasquale. And I would like to nominate our town manager, Mr. Brian Sullivan, to take my place.
Is there a motion to replace Ms. Cronin with Mr. Sullivan?
I will make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Same pay. Next, we have Mr. DeSisto. Do we have to take a motion on the president since the president is
No, it's
mandatory?
Yeah.
Okay, and Ms. Reposa, all in favor of the change and keeping Ms. Reposa? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, change is duly noted. Next, building official alternate,
I'm gonna recuse on that as that's my brother.
correct? Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, Conservation Commission,
The motion to approve Jane Harrison?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Economic Development Board, 3-year terms.
I'd like to poll Natalie Thompson. To my knowledge, she has not attended meetings regularly and has been incommunicado. So I'd like to not reappoint Ms. Thompson.
Did she respond back in the affirmative?
Do we
Interesting.
normally every year we get an attendance report from boards and commissions?
We do.
Did we get one on that board and commission? Okay. Who's the chair of that board?
I don't remember.
It was Ms. Thompson, but it's now Jesse Bowen.
Okay.
I would defer to Councilman Trombley's suggestion as he was the previous chair of the board.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were there.
I was.
Okay, so, okay, is there a motion, is there a second for Mr. Tromley's motion?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Should we?
And
at
we
this
need to
point
advertise.
I'll make a motion, we advertise for the open position on the Economic Development Board.
Second.
And now is there a, all in favor?
Aye.
And is there a motion to approve the remaining members?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, Electrical Inspector. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is next alternate for Electrical Inspector.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Harbor Management Commission.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Holiday Festival.
So moved.
Second.
And we'd like to send out a big round of applause for Elmwood Donnelly for our holiday. Thank you. Next, we have the Juvenile Hearing Board
Motion.
to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Trombley is recusing himself.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is for the Library Board of Trustees. Next, we have Municipal Court Judge.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Planning Board,
Motion.
all in favor?
I'll second.
Aye.
Thank you. Plumbing Mechanical Inspector, 1-year term. Is there a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Plumbing Mechanical Inspector Alternate. Is there a motion?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recreation Board,
Motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Town Sergeant,
Motion. Oh,
all in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Voluntary Historic District Committee,
Motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Warren Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board of Directors,
Motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Warren Housing Authority,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Zoning Board of Review,
Motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's that. Thank you. Next, we have interviews, discussion and action. Budget Committee. We have one position available and we have two people that are applying. Is Miss Amy Gallinelli here? Miss Gallinelli, can you come forward? I thought Anna Maria,
Oh, no, she's.
No,
right.
she-
oh, economic, I'm sorry, thank you. Good evening. Can you
evening.
tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to serve on this committee?
I've lived in the town my whole life. Lived in the same house on Luther Street for the past 48 years. I have worked with most amazing people at the Warren Housing Authority who made me grow and learn finances. And I became the director there. And from there, now I am the finance director for the town of Little Compton.
Nice.
And I would like to give back to my community.
Excellent. Are there any questions of the candidate?
Um,
Ms. Cronin?
yes, thank you for your application. Have you met at all, or are you familiar with the two members who are currently serving?
Yes, I have.
Great,
I
and
have.
so you've
We've chat,
communicated with
yes, and
them
we're going to be
about-
getting together soon.
That's
A
wonderful.
little bit later, right? Yes, we have met on a few occasions.
So you are well aware of the type of work that they're doing and the type of commitment it is.
I'm well aware, yes.
Great.
Are there any other questions for the candidate from the council members?
I'll make a motion to appoint Amy Gallinelli to the vacant position on the Budget Committee.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Very much.
For those of you who see me grimacing, I have a neck problem. So it's not about the business we're conducting.
Okay.
Or the people that we're talking
Okay.
to. Just in case. Next, we have Economic Development Board, and there are two positions available, and Anna Margarita Cabrera currently is the alternate. Is she here? Hi, come forward. How do you like being on that board? Nice. And you're looking to become go from an alternate to a regular position?
Yes, I am.
Are there any questions for the committee member?
I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I actually
Yes,
grew,
Mr. Trombley.
I think she was gonna explain.
Oh.
I was going to say, I grew up in this neck of the woods. I was born in Cuba, which is why I have that Ana Margarita Cabrera name. My parents are from there. But a couple of things, I graduated from Providence College. I worked with your cousin, Kim, at some point in my life. I also went to Our Lady of Fatima High School, which is no longer here. And my second apartment belonged to Sue and Dick Grecio over at 717 South Main Street. I think another thing that I like very much that I think Warren works in many ways.
Warren works. All right. Is Mr. Trombley?
Yes, I just wanted to say that I've worked personally with Anna and every meeting she attended, she brought ideas and energy and passion to the purpose of the board. And I found her to be a very good candidate, and I think that she would make an excellent full member.
Thank you.
Make a motion to approve, Anna?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do we need to advertise that open position?
Yes, please. And we need
I'll make a motion to advertise the open alternate position.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next, we have Juvenile Hearing Board. There are no applicants. Recreation Board, no applicants. Rhode Island 250th Commission, no applicants. Tax Board of Assessment Review, no applicants. So can I have a motion to re-advertise all of those positions?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have someone who's near and dear to our heart, and she wants to be on the Warren Housing Authority. It's Claire Martins. Mrs. Martins, why don't you come on down? How are you? Tell us why you want to go back there.
From my experience, I just think I could assist the board. I was employed by Warren Housing Authority for 28 years. I was the director for about 12. After retiring, I was on the board of the East Greenwich Housing, their nonprofit Cove Homes. So I have some experience in housing.
You do. Are there any questions for the candidate?
Martin, you're a perfect example. Sometimes we're afraid to lose really, really good people. I mean, really, really good people, and we end up with even better people. And so I'm making a motion to, appoint Mr.
And for the
Martin.
people that don't get that joke, he's replacing him. So he's patting himself on the back.
I was wondering where that was. I didn't get it.
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next, we have the acceptance of November 12th regular scheduled meeting.
I will make a motion to approve the November 12th regular scheduled meeting.
No, abstain.
As well as Mr. Tromley and Ms. Cronin. Is there a second? And I'll vote on that one in the affirmative.
Aye.
Everyone.
Yep.
There it is. Next, we have a continued from last month, the consent agenda. We have P1 and P2. The items with an asterisk on the agenda are the consent. The petitions, is there anything there we want to pull?
I'll make a motion, we pass the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, P3, this is a continuation from last month, is Mr. Kelly here. It's a detective, a private detective's license. Hello. Could you, well, I'm gonna just turn this right over to the chief and the solicitor because you guys know why it was continued.
I did my background check. Applicant and.
That was the missing piece.
Okay.
To approve?
Are there any questions of the candidate? I mean, the applicant. All right, and we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay. You see him sitting in a car in front of your house. Go back inside. Request for a tattoo license from Eclectic Body Art and Healing Studio. Mr. Timothy James Freeman is the applicant here. Could you come forward? And this is a licensed individual to you,
Yes, sir.
and you will be doing business where?
Eclectic Body Art?
Oh, you're opening a new establishment?
No, no.
Oh, all right, so
We're gonna be
that's
talking
where
to
you'll be
somebody
doing it.
who's
I'm
gonna-
sorry. Are there any questions for the
No,
applicant?
I know that it requires the background check. All set, chief?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Are there any questions?
I'll make a motion, we grant the tattoo license to Timothy James Freeman.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Next, we have correspondent. These items have two asterisks, C1, 2, and 3. Are there any, or anything there that the council wants to pull?
Well, we need to, I would make a motion to send letters of gratitude to all three of the resignation, all three of the resignations.
Okay, is there a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do,
There you go.
do we need to advertise any of these? I think did we
They
appoint
were included, I believe.
the assistant, when we just did our appointments, did we do the associate municipal court judge? We
Yeah.
appointed someone new?
Yeah, well, we do need
No.
to advertise for the planning board for sure. If the associate So Mr. Bobine was municipal court.
No. Yeah,
Yeah, so we do need to.
We have to advertise.
For both.
And we didn't appoint anyone. So we have to advertise and then hopefully we'll get applicants.
Make a motion to advertise both those positions.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have old business, discussion and action on the current status of the town's smart street lights. Mr. Wheeler.
So we have an update. It's a good update, I think. I'll let Mr. Woodbury speak on it. We just spoke today about it, so I'll let him explain everything to you guys.
Good evening, everyone. Brian Woodbury from Prism Streetlights. I spoke with a representative from Quantella Smart Street Lighting last week. And they informed me that a former employee of Quantella has spun off their own organization and will continue to support the software for the smart street lighting system that Warren currently has in place. Which means it will essentially continue as business as usual. That in mind, there will be some ongoing challenges as it relates to hardware for the system. Because of the availability, because this spinoff is really just for support of the ongoing software solution that you already have in place. So in order to help mitigate that concern, Prism will, from its own funds, purchase 100 smart street lighting nodes that can be used in the case of the need for replacements townwide, as well as multiple gateways are the backbone devices that the smart street lighting nodes on top of each street light communicate through. We will be purchasing 2 of those from the new vendor in order to have those on hand in case of a failure. So more to come on this, but this is a good development that says that you'll be able to continue essentially a business as usual as it pertains to your smart street lighting, it's townwide.
Are there any questions for this gentleman?
I do have a question.
Please.
Again, today's my first day on the job, so forgive me.
Please.
We had budgeted $120,000 for streetlights last year. And now we're budgeting 180. Does it have anything to do with these smart streetlights?
I think that has to do with just overall maintenance with the contract / bills that you pay generally for that. I've never actually dived into that account. That was always handled by the finance director. On top of this, I'm going to be working with Brian and with your blessing. I think we should look at potentially removing the state streetlights and giving them back over to the control of the state so that we manage just the ones on the town roads. That would limit some of the maintenance fees that we'll have. We'll still be spreading our costs with Prism over what we have, as well as I do think currently our gateways have been the biggest issue. At a certain point, they transitioned from under the control of somebody that was kind of running this program to the former finance director. So some of those gateways were not paid on time. I'm going to ask that we push those gateways under the control of Prism so that we're paying Prism only and not having to manage multiple different bills. And we'll obviously work with the town manager, the solicitor, and finance director to make sure everything is according to proper rules and laws so that we're not messing anything up, but just limits who we're dealing with. So we have one point of contact instead of having to deal with Verizon individually, Prism, or subcontractors individually. So we're dealing with one person.
I can
Are there
provide
any-
a little additional context. At some point along the lines, Simcon, who originally sourced your software and your smart street lighting, they divested themselves of the paying for the cellular service that's associated with each and every gateway. Each gateway has a SIM card, much like your cell phone. And so there was a fee associated with that. At some point, Simcon divested themselves of that and said that the individual client was supposed to be responsible for that cost. Somehow or another, Warren got in the middle of it and took that onto their own accounts, as opposed to it being transitioned over to Prism, where Prism would continue to manage that ongoing, cellular service for each gateway. So what I've suggested is that it be transitioned back to Prism so that we can continue to manage that account, make sure that the bill gets paid, and that would be included in your existing ongoing maintenance fee that you pay on a monthly basis for management of streetlights. as far as your question related to the budget, as streetlights age, even with LED streetlights, it is wise to ramp up your budget a little bit because you might see more failures. And so as a result of more failures, while you do have warranty on the hardware components, the labor components are not necessarily included. So if you were to see an excessive number of failed streetlights, you would be responsible for that labor if it exceeded the amount of money that you pay on a monthly basis to Prism to provide maintenance for you.
So, Mr. Rego, I think that what we may have done, and we'll get a solid answer for you next month, as soon as we get close to the budget session. I think we took all of the parks lights, and I think that may be included in that budget. So I'm not positive, if I remember correctly, that there was an increase. I think multiple groups of lighting, I think, are put on one line. I mean, it used to be just street lights, but we'll look into that next month. Are there any other questions before I close? Mr. Tromley?
Yes,
Oh, wait, Mr. Rader, do you have anything else to say?
No, I just be looking for an explanation for that.
Mr.
I think
Trombley.
things have changed. I mean, before you used to pay National Grid, they take care of the lights at home.
Correct.
yes, so just so I have it correct, so Prism is going to pay for 100 nodes and 2 gateways, if I understand that correctly?
We will pay for those to have them as shelf stock in the event that you all need them for maintenance of your system.
Okay, and how often do either the gateways or the nodes fail that they need to be sort of maintained and replaced? Is there like, can you give me an idea?
We've had only a couple of dozen failures of your nodes town-wide since you implemented the system back in, I believe it was 2017.
We find more lights that haven't been transitioned over to the LEDs every year than we do have failures.
Okay.
We have one right now. We've been sitting on. So.
Thank you very much. Those were nothing more.
Anyone else? I'd like to close with, for next month, if we could. It's been a while since we've looked at all of the Prism work. It's been a long time. So if you could put a proposal together on exactly what it is you orally reported tonight.
Yep.
And Mr. Wheeler, if you could wrap up on the town's end of what you're expecting out of that, and we can put that on the agenda for next month so that we'll have something we can read and digest, especially going into the budget session. So thank you for bringing this forward and continuing to maintain a positive relationship with the town.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, so no action, or did we have action? I can't remember.
If you just allow us to kind of investigate that.
Yeah,
transitioning-
continue this.
Transitioning the state lights will take a very long time, but we have to kind of stop that process. So if you give us the approval to at least start the process of investigating.
Mr.
that
Sister, should we keep this agenda item on until next month?
I would, but I think the DPW director is asking for action tonight.
To start the,
To start the process, because we have to actually work with Brown Angie.
correct, and you'll bring this back to us next month. The
I'll make-
proposal of what it is you're starting. and-
So there's some things that we're gonna have to ask for from Brown Angie that could take some months.
Oh,
They're
okay.
not as fast as.
Mr. Hanley, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to allow the DPW director to pursue the avenue of turning the state lights back over to the state.
And conducting whatever business you need with Rhode Island Energy for this whole lighting process.
Yes.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've sat in this chair. Well, actually not this chair, but doing this job. Next, we have new business. Discussion and action for the town council to approve a new art exhibit called Warren Artist Town Hall Gallery. Do we have Mr. Thomas here? Or is anyone from the Arts Commission here?
They're all there.
Anybody from WAC? Come on down. Put your best face forward. Sell us. Good evening. Hello.
Elizabeth is in charge of this program. This is Elizabeth O'Connell. She's on the commission. She's kind of be the one to direct.
So Connell, if you would like to step to the mic, tell us what it is you're proposing and why you want permission from the town.
This is also Jim Goff. Jim.
Good evening.
and Myself and Linda McGaffron were on a subcommittee that did planning. And we provided the council with a packet. I don't know whether you've had a chance to look at it, but I'll just briefly describe it for the audience. We began talking about using some of the space in the town hall to display art from Warren artists. Anyone that is an artist that has a studio in Warren or resides in to give them visibility.
So Connor, could you please speak into the microphone?
Sure, to give them visibility, respect for what they do for
I
the
mean,
town of.
address the council. Talk to us. Thank you.
And to make the council room itself more vibrant. So we started this project about a year ago with the former planner, Herb Durfee, who facilitated it. And we put in for a grant for the actual display apparatus. We proposed to put one of these display systems over on that wall, 2 over here, and 2 out in the hall. We've purchased 5 display systems like this, which come with wires. It's a professional system. And we consulted with Mary Dondero, who is a curator at the Bristol Art Museum, to get her opinion on the system we were looking at, and she approved it. Then we went to meet with Brian Sullivan, the town manager, and the DPW director, Brian Wheeler. And we discussed it. They gave us some ideas, and Brian Wheeler did a fabulous little mock-up of what it would look like for your packet. And what we're proposing is to have a 6-month period of art displayed. People will apply for it. We'd like to put a call for art out as soon as possible, beginning of January. Look at the submitted pieces and select about 40, depending on sizes. Your packet has the application requirements on it. So we've thought it out pretty thoroughly, and we're hoping to have it installed by the end of February and to run until September.
Okay. Are there any questions? I'm sure there are. Who wants to go first?
No, I'm just looking at the locations, and that it is part of it. We're gonna be moving the flag, and a plaque has to be moved on one of them.
Is there anything else?
No, I'm just, the question is, I'm just trying to get a layout of where they're gonna be. So in other words, the flag's gonna go under the clock, and then that'll open up 1 space, 2 space. One in
One
the,
space between the 2 windows. in the
okay,
back
and
of the
then
room.
2 in the hallway.
2 in the hallway.
Okay, I'm just trying to get my head around where they're going.
Good.
Yeah.
Mr. Rego.
You're not talking about a long-term display here. How long?
6 months.
6 months, that's it?
Yes.
Yeah, and then. would
And
you
rotating.
rotate?
We'd like
My
to,
concern, and I don't think it's an issue now, but if Let It Hall of Fame had asked if we could do something here, but I don't think that's an issue.
well, there's still space in the hallway. We had originally thought to also include a few pieces downstairs in the entryway with a little sign that says Warren Artist Town Hall Gallery upstairs. But so that when people enter Town Hall from the street, they see immediately some art. And they know where to go for it next. So we started with 5 display systems. We could increase that. And we'd also like to involve other populations too. For instance, school children in Warren. They could be part of a program to display their work for 6 months. Ekphrasis is a way that poets and artists work together too. And that would be fun to do. So there are all different ways we could use the system and try it and see how it goes. Of course, the whole Warren Arts and Council Commission is going to be having the curating of what pieces go in and what pieces do not get invited in. So we want to make sure that everything is appropriate for the public.
Any
Sounds-
other questions?
No, I'm just,
Ms. Cronin?
I see that you have, you'll open the, or the deadline for submissions is in mid-February, and you have a whole process in place to curate and decide what art will go up. I think it's great.
Mr. Trump?
Thank you.
You have anything you'd like to add? Any questions?
Nothing to add.
We'd like to
I-
thank some of the people that were involved in helping this come about. And Jim is going to mention them.
So it's Herb Murphy,
You need to speak in the microphone.
then Brian Sullivan, the town manager, Brian Wheeler, the Department of Public Works, James Souza from the fire department to okay it, and then our commission, which is Linda Megathan, myself and Elizabeth, and Chris Matos from the library did the grant. And then Erin is here, and Debbie Krantz, Susan Roblox Walker, Sally Turner, and Julia Kesselman are also on the board. And all of us got reappointed. Thank you
Okay,
very much.
that's right, you did. So, Mr. DeSisto, I have a very important question to you. Since beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and the commission is going to be doing the evaluation, and it's their discretion, how exactly does that insulate us from a discrimination suit? In other words, if I'm not concerned about the art, I'm concerned about who likes it, who doesn't like it, why we don't like it, who gets picked for not being liked. I was actually against thinking that the interior here, I didn't think is gonna be good. I think that this one clause right here is trouble, because when we look at the experience we had at the electrical box at the top of Campbell Street in Maine, road to hell is paved with good intentions. It was an ugly situation. There were ugly comments came out against the town, and we were following the rules that we felt were being applied. And we were, fortunately, it didn't go to any legal action, but for those of you who may remember, it wasn't what we were anticipating. Are we insulated in that regard for an artist feeling, and Ms. Dondero, please come down if you have something to add.
You're insured.
Insured in what regard? Like a loss of, like, what if Ms. Collins paints something? We find it repulsive. She doesn't. Now what?
Well, I'm gonna say this. The question is what type of injury occurs that would result in damages from art? I think that's very remote, and I can say that this is something that other communities do in their town halls. And to my knowledge, there's been no lawsuits that have accrued from that. If there were to be a lawsuit, you would get coverage from the trust, just like any other lawsuit.
I'm talking about somebody who's not picked to hang in here, because this group is going to pick the piece of art. It says here, each submission will be evaluated by what they consider appropriate.
Correct.
So what if they think something isn't appropriate? And Ms. Dondero,
May I-
please speak on that.
So as curator at the Bristol Art Museum and also exhibition committee at Imago Gallery, there are standards
Okay.
for public art.
All right.
And so I'm pretty sure that the commission understands what criteria should be upheld as a standard for public viewing and public art. And if it helps everyone, I think it would be a simple 3-sentence statement that they could put at the bottom of the application form of what those standards are. This goes on with public sculpture, It goes on with two-dimensional, but especially out in the parks, what's appropriate, what isn't appropriate. And I will say, as an example, we had an issue in Bristol Art Museum about 5 years ago where an artist was very upset that he might not be able to show his work. So I can help the group come up with that standard language that goes into the application form for the artist. So that legally helps mitigate, I'm not saying it legally holds anything in a court, but it certainly
It helps.
quells down the situation.
You gonna
Mr.
be
Rego.
selling these paintings?
What's that?
You gonna be selling them?
That,
Yes,
Okay.
it's privately conducted between buyer and artist. Their contact information will be displayed.
Mr. Rego?
We have, does the town have the right of discretion to say, hey, we don't want it up there, or how does that work?
well, you're talking about freedom of speech sometimes, but when it's an application that has to be filled out, there has to be criteria that the artist agrees they have abided by, or they have aligned their artwork with. So that can be made clear in the application. It's very common practice for public spaces to say no nudity. So we don't want to get into the discussion of what's pornographic or what's not pornographic, but you can start with that whole premise that, you know, we don't want full nudity in a public space.
The public will be allowed to speak. Are you part of the commission? Please come forward.
Okay,
Mr. DeSisto.
And while she's coming up on this, you know, this is just a function of this committee that's going to be displaying art and everything else. People don't have an absolute right to have their paintings shown
That's correct.
in a public space.
That is absolutely correct.
So I'm not, I have to tell you, I'm just not too concerned about the liability.
Okay, good. I
Really
mean, I don't
good.
want to censor. I'm against censorship, but in the same sense, I don't want somebody in here to be offended about coming into a public room to ask for a, bacon license.
I understand you have freedom of speech, but for a program like this, it's art, this young
There's a
lady had
process.
said, there's a process to it, there's an application and everything else. It doesn't, that's not something that I'm concerned about. It's not similar to a display outside of a town hall with a flag or something of that nature. This is different, it's part of your arts, it's part of the cultural, there's different rules and regulations.
And the application process is common practice for all the arts. Artists are very accustomed to applying for something and expecting unaccepted or accepted. for
Good.
different times.
I'm just glad there are answers to my question. You came forward?
I had a thought, but I'm not sure if it's needed, so I can say if you want, but I can.
Nah, I don't want it.
I want to know now.
Okay, so I was just saying that there could be a passive agreement if you're worried about the artists themselves getting offended that they aren't, or they,
some
if-
regard,
by
yeah.
sending the application, they could have a passive agreement to accept whatever the committee decides. Just like a school, if you don't send and you don't want the photo taken, it's a passive agreement unless you say, I don't want my student to be photographed. with
already
my
know that
student." So
going in.
therefore, by submitting the application, there'd be a passive agreement.
Nice.
You have to agree to the terms. See what
Okay,
I'm saying?
I got it now. Are there any other questions, the council to the committee? Mr. Trombley?
I just wanted to add that I concur with the judgment of the solicitor that I think we would not have any I couldn't foresee any legal issues as a result of this exhibit.
And I'd just like to see if you could refer the application to me before it goes out. I'd like to take a look at it.
So if we could get that paperwork over to the solicitor, and is there a motion to approve this request?
I'll make a motion contingent upon the approval of the solicitor of the rules. Is that acceptable?
Yes, it is. I
Second.
don't know what that is. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
brighten up our space. There you go. Next, we have new business 2, discussion and action regarding the number of parking spaces on downtown side streets west of Main Street that would benefit from painting parking space lines. This is Union Street between Liberty Street and Miller, Narragansett Way, Baker Street. I think we should just look at it as the whole downtown. Ms. Cronin put this on the agenda, and I'll let her fill us in on her
Thank you.
request.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. If you live downtown, and you have tried, parking, or if you have observed the way that people park, there is not the, we are not maximizing the number of spaces that we have. In that, I think people, for whatever reason, can pull in, think they're good, and they've just successfully obliterated 2 parking spaces behind them by leaving too much space in front or in back, whichever it was. So by just giving them a little grid to fit their vehicle into, we're going to get the most out of those precious downtown spaces. I mentioned some streets. I happen to live on the corner of Liberty and Union Street, and I see it happening all the time, and it's just a regular occurrence that we're not getting the most parking spaces out of that street, but I know it goes all the way down to the beach. And Jane Harrison sent us a McDougal, excuse me, I always do that, apologies. The 2 Janes sent a very good letter explaining why, we should consider as far down as the beach. So if we could just get those measurements, get those lines painted, I think we'd see some reduction in irritation and the most amount of cars and vehicles parking downtown.
Mr. Wheeler, you have anything you want to add to that?
Would like to look at it. I do find when you paint specific.
Please.
When you paint specific parking spots, you can lose parking spots too.
Oh, I'm
based
aware.
off of size of vehicles. The average length of a side street parking lot would be about 18 feet. So you could have a smart car that takes up an 18-foot parking spot. So I would think we might want to look at maybe start and end. The other idea I have is just cost associated with it. We will need a new paint machine for that amount of painting. They're about $7,000, but that's something we can put in the budget. Ours is just old and won't keep up with that amount of painting that we would need to do. But there's an associated cost to everything. Paint isn't cheap anymore either. So
Are there any questions from the council for Mr. Wheeler on this?
Well, just to continue, when we did Water Street, because Water Street now does have, I think, all the way down.
Yes.
It has all of the spaces. We did lose just for turning radius for coming on and off certain streets for visibility.
yeah, and
It happens.
I agree with those. I'm thinking if you do a beginning and ending and not individual spaces, it gives them the idea of how far they can pull up to certain corners and whatnot. Because you do find, like I said, if you paint the specific spots, you may lose some ability to park. But if you paint a start and an end, then they have the full duration in that area. If it makes more sense, we can look at it and create kind of like a diagram.
I do understand, Ms. Cronin, it would be like at your side gate, the west gate.
Yeah.
We fit 2 cars there. When one car parks wrong, it can't. There's the 2 driveways. If he puts the white lines at the ends, is he gonna have room? So I understand what you're saying. If you have time, would we look at maybe drive around, take a good look at it?
Yeah,
You and
we can
somebody
even take
do some
measurements.
measurements
Yeah.
and figure stuff out, and we'll take it from there. Is that,
Yep.
Mr. Trombley?
As someone who did line striping in private parking lots for many years, this speaks to me very much. Since
That's
we.
right. It's your father's business.
Exactly. So since we are in winter and we're about to have a very massive storm tomorrow, everyone be safe. It doesn't make sense to do any type of painting between now and probably March.
Correct.
So since we have a few months, do you think you could potentially get an estimate as to the amount of linear feet of paint that would be required? Where do we get our paint from?
We have a couple places, but Franklin Paint is one of the major suppliers we get ours from.
Okay, good quality, good company. And if you can explore potentially some of the costs that might be associated with a new machine.
We're due for a new one anyways.
That'll happen.
I mean, if you've seen ours, but I have no problem. I can do the measurements. It's a good time to do the measurements because we're not going to be painting until the spring. So.
And one other thing I will add to Ms. Cronin's point is stencil work for example, no parking, specific spaces. Do we have all the stencils that we need for those types of things? Most,
Yes, we're still rebuilding the
still rebuilding.
paint department. There was many years where we just didn't have
Yeah.
much going on, so we've kind of revamped it, so.
All right, well, I
Any
think I still have a
additional
few buckets
questions?
in my, I think I still have a few buckets in my condo, so.
I would be happy to get all the measurements in the streets and kind of come up with a diagram so we can see what it looks like.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to move on in regards to having him come back with a report for next month? Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye. Thank you.
Okay, next we have new business 3. Discussion and action regarding making Union Street between Miller Street and Liberty Street one-way going south. Johnson Street, one-way going,
No, we pulled that.
no, that one's
You're
pulled.
looking at
Okay, I'm
all.
sorry, I got the one I brought. Okay, Ms. Cronin, go ahead.
So again, living downtown, the narrow streets and the way people drive, it becomes a game of, chicken. Sometimes when you've got all the cars parked on the west side of the street and it's a two-way street, but there's only room for one vehicle to go, and you get so far and then there's somebody coming at you, and where do you go? What do you do? So there are a lot of streets like that downtown, specifically Union between Miller and Liberty. I know it's true. Well, Liberty Street is quite narrow. Luckily, there's no parking on Liberty Street. Company Street is even narrower. I had originally had Johnson in Westminster, and I very foolishly forgot the fact that there is a boatyard down there that needs the both ways to be able to get the trailers in and out with the boats, and so I pulled that off. But Company Street could be a one-way street because, again, cars going both ways, somebody's got to back up. And if you're backing up, if it's the car that's closest to Water Street, backing up into Water Street traffic is just, it's so unsafe, it's so risky. So I would be happy with getting the Traffic Commission involved in looking at some streets that might benefit from being changed to one-way. I know that with the rescue on Miller Street, there is, that rescue is often up and down Union, that block of Union. A rescue, a police, or a fire truck can go whatever way they want. If it's for public safety, if it's an emergency, they're not beholden to the directional. But we also see cars driving the wrong way on State Street all the time. All of the downtown streets that are one way. So we need to really establish what's the best, safest one-way street directions that's going to provide the best traffic flow.
It's interesting, there are a few streets that in the grid down there that haven't been dealt with. So are there any, Mr. Rego?
Maybe the chief remembers, I thought we did that on Company Street years ago. And we did on the Sunset Division, and then they went back. You remember one? I do not.
No.
We have mentioned Company Street.
Company Street would be a one-way east.
Makes a lot of sense.
And what that'll also be a big benefit on the parking, because of it being a one-way east, the relief that's there was from this woman. I was on the council that granted it. Louis, you were there too. She was hitting the cars every time she pulled out. So there's like a 6-car no parking on Company. So if it's just gonna be going east, then it's just a left-hand turn. So if we, is there a motion to send this request to the Traffic Commission and any other streets downtown they think should be looked at?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on. What are we moving on to? New business 4, discussion and action regarding the new Kickyamewett River Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge. Planning Board Chair Fred Massey can't be here, but he sent us a letter. And he wants us to, Mr. DeSisto, do I have to read this into the record? He sent it in. He's the chair of the planning
I'm
board.
recommending you do.
Okay.
Because it doesn't go to all of the, items for his, that he has down here.
Correct.
So I think your first motion should be to combine each of the, NB.
NB 4, 5, and 6.
Correct.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Dear Warren Town Councilors, the following request was sent to the members of the previous town council. However, the decision was made to wait on formally presenting this until after the new members of the council were and are now seated. Given this, I am asking for this request to be placed on the upcoming town council agenda. The new bicycle and pedestrian bridge across the Kickamuit River, primarily funded through a Safe to Schools grant and aimed at providing a secure alternative to Child Street for students, residents, and visitors to travel between the eastern and western sections of Warren, is nearing completion. In the interest of public safety, we need to create a designated, if only initially temporary, route from the bridge's western side to the East Bay bike path before the bridge is open to the public. Given this, at its most recent October 28th, 2024 meeting, the Warren Planning Board voted to request the town council's authorization of a group to review connection alternatives and recommend immediate and long-term solutions. As the planning board has played a significant role throughout the bridge proposal, grant writing, funding, and construction, as well as incorporating the bridge and connecting route in the draft Warren Comprehensive Plan, I am proposing the formation of a planning board subcommittee, including but not limited to representation from the town's Department of Public Works, Police and Fire Department, town manager, and town council to assume responsibility for this task. On a related note, the planning board was approached by residents concerned with the fate of the historic Hugh Cole well located immediately adjacent to the eastern end of the new bridge. Apparently, the well marker was removed during the bridge construction and the well was temporarily isolated. Clearly, this valuable historic place needs to be returned to its state prior to the bridge construction. This is also an opportunity for the town to enhance the Hugh Cole Wells setting and identification for bridge travelers. Here again, the planning board is ready, willing, and able to assist in this restoration. Your attention and approval, consideration for this request are appreciated. Respectfully, Fred Massey. Any comments? Any, Mr. Hanley?
Well, when he talks about the subcommittee, he basically just named the traffic commission. I don't think we need to create a completely separate subcommittee. I think maybe we could just, for that discussion on that, include a couple members of the planning board, sit on that committee when this is discussed. And they already have the TRC, Technical Review Committee, which is a branch of the plan, but I don't think we need a special committee for this. I think we already got the traffic commission sitting, and if we just put a couple members of the planning board in there when this is discussed, I think that would cover it.
Any other questions, comments?
I
Ms.
would,
Cronin?
yes, I would say that I had replied to Mr. Massey. I agree with Councilman Hamley's suggestion that we have the traffic commission who can work on this. But we did have a meeting right here in council chambers in July with RIDOT, and we discussed a number of things. And I did bring up the bridge and when it would be completed, and very clearly pointed out the fact that once the bridge is done, we are going to have a safety issue getting pedestrians and cyclists safely from one side of the bridge to the other and then to downtown, which is the whole point of the bridge. So reminded them that that part of getting across Metacom Avenue is the huge issue here. We can either go over it, we can go under it, or we could go across it. I think over and under are probably not options. So it's going to be how to address that a four-way signal there. Apparently, according to the chairperson of the planning board, there is a study or some design recommendations that came back in 2019 from a firm that we've done business with that we have not yet found. We're looking. I asked him for them, but I think he's out of town now. So if we get that, that might be something to start with. But I think rational thinking person knows that there's going to have to be some lines painted, get the paint, get the painter, or it's a state road. So RIDOT will have to do that. This is on them. This is their their bike path. They're going to have to develop a plan to get pedestrians and cyclists safely across Metcalm Avenue and down Franklin Street, which is plenty wide. Get a barrier or something and send people down that way so they can hit the East Bay Bike Path downtown.
Any other comments, questions?
There was discussion at one time, and I think there was actually not a plan, but a preliminary plan to actually use Libby Lane, somehow connect to Libby Lane and then run them from there to the intersection of Franklin and get them down.
That's what I meant. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna come off the bridge onto Libby Lane.
Let's hold there. Mr. Rego and Mr. Trombley, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, so I would think that there would be a railroad easement,
There is.
and I think that would be the only path as far as Medicum Avenue. Again, just gotta figure out a way across Medicum Avenue.
I'll wrap this up with some historical facts. Mr. Trombley.
Nothing.
So here's the problem. It's the Warren Bike Path. They gave it to us, they forced it on us. It's the Warren Bridge. They paid for it, built it, forced it on us. The problem that we debated at the time, Mr. Rego is correct, is how do we deal with where it goes? So there is the existing right of way. It runs behind what is now Dollar General or General Dollar and straight down to the bridge. We don't have any money to deal with that. So it was really unfortunate at the time that the state came there and said, we're gonna give you all of this, great stuff. Then the company went out of business that was doing the bridge work. All of their material and plans was considered proprietary. They got to go to court. This was 23 years ago. Then the project got released. Then the company that was given the contract went out of business, Carty. Now this bridge that we have here, it's really crazy. It's been this,
Pretty much the bridge to nowhere.
right? So now we have to, what I'm gonna be looking for is not to make this committee right now. Have Mr. Sullivan do some due diligence on trying to scrape up where we were at the time. Whatever material we have. Hopefully, we're gonna have a planner in-house at some point. Then we're gonna have to petition our state and even federal delegation to figure out how we can get some funding to finish this fully funded and now given to the town of Warren bike path that ends at, what is that, West Street? Barker, ends at Barker. So, we got a little bit of, work cut out for us
So,
and we don't have any money.
so we should ask the solicitor too if that easement is still there. or-
It is. We can ask him, but it is.
Yeah, I
The
don't-
real estate's there.
I don't mind if it's referred to me because there's an issue with that easement. There was a subdivision that was put in over there. It's in my memory.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that.
That was on the
That's
other
a cro-
side, that was on the other side of Metcalm Avenue.
Yeah, that's a cross.
That was abandoned, I believe.
No,
by the
it-
train station.
Yes,
And people on each split it. That's how the people got that subdivision. They actually acquired the land. I was on the
Yes.
planning board. when that
Yes.
was done.
Right, so again, I can go back for those who don't remember and to try to give you so there's a development right on the turn, right behind the turn where the easement, where the tracks went. It's no longer viable when you get down to, which used to be Lloyd's Manufacturing, it's all wetlands. Then there's also, the development, but land that wasn't developed, that's owned by, from Bristol, Mike, NCD.
Okay, yeah.
So it's gonna have to be on Franklin Street. And part of my thinking, and at the time, state didn't like this. I can legally ride a bicycle up Franklin Street. I can legally push the button. I can legally cross the street. All of a sudden, it's like if you're on a bike and going to the bike path, it's, you can't do it. So we need to figure out how we can just finish that one section. And then, I don't know, a perfect world would be a bike path, but it's also a road and you can ride your bicycle on the road. We just got to figure out how to get this bridge to the road. So,
Yeah, the easiest way would be the Libby Lane, and then from there, it's just across the street.
well, Libby Lane gets into a little bit of, no pun intended, muddy waters because we have, the new resident who lives on the right-hand side and the land owned by the housing authority would need, you need access and all of that permission. So there was a lot of pushback at the time. We don't need to name names, but they all came forward and, my God, you know who you're gonna be bringing in with that bike path? We had to listen to all of that 20 years ago. We know who rides the bikes, people. We know that they're not the enemy. That's not an issue anymore. What we gotta figure out is how we can get the money and figure the section. And I don't think it's right now ready for a committee. I think we should send this to Mr. DeSisto. I think we should send it to everybody and then get these questions answered. Even the traffic commission should take a look at it. So you guys get the information, pass it out to whoever you think would look at it. And is there a motion, something? Mr. Tromley,
President, I'd like to make a motion to refer to the solicitor for further review.
there you go.
And that would be NB 4, 5, and 6.
Correct. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay. Next, we have discussion and action regarding a resolution to our state and federal delegation for guidance, support, and design on a construction on Market Street and Route 138.
Should be 136.
136, sorry. I never know where I am. So the reason I brought this forth is because we have been for about 12 years constantly on the calendar change end from DOT that we can't do Market Street yet because the new administration wants to look at the water depth or the this or the that. The public may know that there was paving. We did not do the paving. That was for the gas company. So Market Street has been proposed for about 25 years. It has never gotten anywhere. The reason this is brought up again is because Mr. Wheeler reported to us that the floodgates that we approved 2 months ago or a month ago went to be looked at for installation. The pipes that they would go on are rotted. They opened up the manhole covers. There's water under the street. So for any of you traveling Market Street, you know where I'm talking about. It's right in front of the cleaners. It's not something that's good. The state, they don't talk to themselves departmentally. So if you call the wrong place, so I don't know. And we need some help. It's one of 3 entrances and exits to the town of Warren. It's an evacuation route. And at high tide, it's currently underwater all the time. So I felt like we need to start pounding on the door and try to figure something out. Mr. Rego.
I want to thank you, Joe, because I was going to put this on next month. Because we did have, the state had it earmarked for 2022, and somehow the planner must have told them not to do it, because I do have a letter from the state that had $2.86 million. But I'm with you 100%, Joe, it needs to be done. And we do have that issue where that flooding happens and it needs to be addressed.
And the state, to add to this, so you guys can work on it also and how you feel, everyone, the state is currently working on the state line to, what is it? Birch Schoolhouse. That was supposed to go all the way. What you're referring to is they stopped it at Schoolhouse. They said further engineering needed to be done. We said, okay, great. So this is happening. No, we can't find any information, any data, anything. So I've been there too long, and I know that when nothing happens, it's because nothing's happening. And we need to figure out what's going to happen, because at high tide, what direction is that? North of Malik Slickers? That stream is flooding. At Belcher's Cove, which is at the cleaners, at J&J Cleaners, that's flooding. So we have an issue, we have a problem, and it's Bristol's problem too, because evacuation-wise, if we ever have to leave and it's high water, you can't leave. And then, so we need to figure something out. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Is there a motion? Or wait, Mr. Tromley wants to say something.
I was just curious if, again, my first meeting, are we planning on having a legislative priority session with our state delegation?
January.
We usually do once a year.
Yeah.
In January, okay. So I think that this is perfect to bring up at next month's meeting. I think that's the proper way to do it.
I would kind of push the issue and just send them out.
Yeah, we're gonna, I wouldn't disagree, but in this regard, timing does matter, and I had brought this up to Rep. Speakman, and she asked me to try to get it in this year. Not positive why on their end, but she told me timing mattered, so.
In that case, I'll happy to make a motion to, I suppose, request DOT status report on some of these projects.
Well, let me give you a little bit better, and then you can.
Help me out, my friend.
What I'm looking for is send a motion to send this to the solicitor for appropriate language to send to the state and federal delegation. So you can do a little research on it, find out how to do it, and we don't need to see it back. We want to, we can, but he knows what he's gonna be working on in regards to that letter and who to send it to. And then we'll be able to actually talk to them when they come back down here in January, whatever, but does anybody want to put that in the form of a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Ms. Collins, sure, public.
Eileen Collins, 26 State Street. You know, what I see is every time the state like puts in sidewalks or puts a double lane highway through our town, there's not even one tree planted. You know, I look at like that whole loop of Metacom Avenue and, you know, double lanes of cars going through, you know, 40, 50 miles an hour, no trees planted anywhere, you know? And when we look at Market Street, again, like Child Street got, you know, new sidewalks, 0 trees planted. Now Market Street, you need like a 4-wheel drive to go down it because it's like sinking where you're talking about. And I'm just worried that again, you know, they may come in and put some Band-Aid on it and repave it, but there's no trees. And I know trees really do mitigate a lot of water problems because they need water to survive. And they even talked about this, you know, the tsunami in Japan, that if there had been oak trees planted along that roadway, that it would not have impacted the, you know, the towns around it as badly as it did, because oak trees really put their roots down low. They don't, they need a lot of water and they tend to be very strong. They don't get uprooted easily in storms and flooding.
Funny you could say that. I learned this the other day. I don't know if it's true or not. They said about 300 gallons of water a day. I'm having a hard time believing that, but that's what I.
No, it's true. Trees drink a lot of water. Like I have that giant tree in my backyard and I can't quote the amount of water that it takes, and it is dying. But it's amazing, like the enormous amount of water that it takes for it to survive. And being in a low water area, like we should be able to have really beautiful trees here if they're planted properly with stone at the bottom, crushed stone. You know, it's been proven that it creates its own sort of bottom well and it keeps the water down there and not on top where we are.
Unfortunately, I've heard from the state, and I hate hearing stuff like this, the beautification aspect of a lot of these projects is totally different than their, what's the term they use, John, the front, like they'll do the asphalt and the curbs because that's what's needed, but then beautification, like when we did Water Street, we went crazy trying to get the beautification aspect. The trees weren't included in it. So
Right.
it's so, I
But
agree
they're
with you.
pulling up old trees on Main Street.
I know, but it's
And-
just, it's not the same. Like you, it's not like we're asking for the same. They'll give us the road. I'm with you. We're with you.
We need to,
Finally, when we get it, we
Yeah.
give us the road, but to get the trees, it's like.
The trees were
an
pulled from
it's an
Child
extra
Street.
battle.
we
Yeah.
need to adopt the Complete and Green Streets program.
Okay,
which
a lot of
is-
work to do.
Which is a statewide program that looks at projects such as this and obligates the communities to, when they're doing road projects, to incorporate street
Yes.
trees as both beautification and for safety and resiliency purposes.
Ms. McGreevy, did you have something you wanted to add? And then Ms. Reed. Yes, please. You're on the record.
Okay, so I'm looking at an article, I just remember reading about it the other day. URI awarded a $1.5 million grant to team with Warren on coastal resilience. This was just in late September. And I actually emailed them and said, who are you working with? Because I wasn't aware of it wasn't clear who they were working with. So this is all about flooding and sea level rise, and it's gotta be those areas.
It is.
Yeah, so it sounds like we potentially have some money and some investigation that might be.
We do. The irony that we're hearing a lot is the project. I don't want to make this a broad giant thing. The award of the moving market to Metacom, that whole grant
Yeah.
was about an idea. That was, the project was funded because the topic was, hey, planners, give us ideas and we'll give you money. We're getting like millions and millions of dollars, but it's all in regards to that project that in somehow, in some way, we have to look into this, Mr. DeSisto. It's almost as if it's been accepted that this is what we're doing.
Yeah, the relocation is what you're talking
And
about.
yeah, the whole, like, all of this stuff. So originally our planner applied for a grant on coastal resiliency to create a plan for your community. That's what the grant was about. We received it. And all of like that money, all of this money isn't about like, fixing our road over there, or it's all money in regards to this planning of this plan that is really just a plan that we've never even seen it really. So you're correct in what you just read.
Yeah.
And there's money and there's more money. We got money from our federal delegation, but it's all in that planning aspect. So we're gonna have a planner, I think, soon.
Well, I hope you.
And they're gonna hit the ground running and figuring out where all this money is, and then we're gonna hope that the next administration keeps the money and
Yeah,
what's
I'll-
happening down in Washington and
I'll
stuff. like
volunteer
that.
to help with that, is in terms of running down what part of this funding can be used for the identification of these areas, which we already know, and what other solutions, without being tied to the relocation effort, is possible.
But it's
with
just
funds.
though. You have anything to add to that?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Reed?
Well, I wanted to just respond to Eileen. So the town of Warren is part of a technical assistance program to think about and get down on paper and begin to implement a tree canopy. So an urban forest. So there's a tree canopy advisory committee that's been meeting. Brian's part of that. We've been talking through what is available, what could be proposed, more space. Oops, but sorry, got cut off. Where could we plant more trees? What is our current status around trees? Where are there trees missing? Where are heat maps? What kinds of trees should be planted, could be planted in different areas? So there's a lot of work going on. And then also most recently, our group talked about ordinances and codes and what we would need in order to sort of shore all of this up. So I'll pass on.
Yeah, so basically, the green streets, that's kind of what we're coming up with. Our ordinances are not full yet. They're still new, in my opinion, when it comes to trees and development and all that. So what our plan now with this, advisory group is to kind of move forward with developing a path forward for fixing our ordinances and rewriting them to fit us better so that we can enforce that even with DOT, as well as working with the tree commission on actually just this area about planting trees in this Belcher Cove area, on our own land and on some, private land that we could work with the, property owners on, because there is nothing there. There's nothing soaking up any of that water. So Chuck and I have actually talked about this exact location about planting. We talked about it last week. So
London Plains would be great.
Yeah,
So
and just
an
to
urban
share one last
forestry
thing,
plan-
the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management has worked with several municipalities over the last couple of years, and we're this year's cohort. And you end up with a plan that you can then begin to chip away at.
All right, hopefully in that, put this in your bonnet. Get us permission to change State Street, trees on state roads without their involvement. They won't let us. They say, oh, just go ahead, you can do it anyway. It's not true. Mr. Rego.
Out of fairness to the state, one of our problems, our sidewalks are very narrow and ADA, I think, is 3 feet, or is it more than that?
3 feet. I'll probably touch on that soon, so further down the.
But we actually have empty tree wells
No, I
on Main
realize
Street
that.
that they give
Yeah.
us. So right now we're working on the trees on South
Right.
Main because they want to cut them all down when they put in the sidewalks.
Yeah, and just to share, so this is, there's a tree canopy advisory committee, and then it will go to public, and there will be more work, and it's going to take a little while. And then just to speak a little bit about the URI project.
Kind of want to get back
I,
to the
I
actual
can
topic of-
actually share with people.
But I want to
about
get, I want to get back to
the
the
M-
agenda item.
Okay,
I'm getting
absolutely.
concerned about an open.
Yeah.
meeting.
Absolutely.
There you go. Thank you. I was there with you saying that. I mean, want to get back to the, so yeah, trees will help us. So the motion was made. Motion was seconded,
I believe the motion was voted on.
voted on, then the public, but thank you. I wasn't sure if we had discussion. So, all right, move on. Thank you. Go ahead.
I have, going back to
Please.
NB6, I don't think we took any action on the well, did we?
No, well, we included it in the other thing, but we didn't take any
Yeah,
action.
I don't know if we,
Because
because
I had understood that the motion, that's a referral. I was going to include the Hugh Pole well.
okay, because I know it was specifically said it went up to NB 3, 4, and 5, or whatever it was. It didn't include 6.
It was 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did
Okay,
include it,
all
and he
right.
got it.
I just wanted to make sure that we did take.
Cause he's gonna look at the legal and the.
Okay.
We did, thank you, Stanley. Next, town manager. Come on down. So we have discussion and action regarding the town planner.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. So I did meet with Allison Ring last week, and she is willing to do the interim for us for until we do get a full-time planner in place, about 10 hours a week. So we do have a plan until we do get that position filled.
And
I'm
we're-
working with the solicitor because he would like to be on the interview panel to set up interviews.
And we're gonna fund that. We have the money through the salary.
With the
associated
salary of
planner.
the current planner, yes.
Thank you. So, Mr. Assistant, do we need a motion to add you to that? Because I want you to be on that board.
Thought you already did.
I thought we did,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
don't,
Yes,
we
we
all think it's good that, I mean, we've had a lot of lawsuit problems with the planner situations. So,
Excuse me.
Ms.
sorry.
Cronin, go right ahead.
I feel like at the last meeting, you had mentioned that.
I thought we did,
had
yeah.
received a number of applications. And
Yes.
so we have not begun the interview process.
We have not done the interview process because the solicitor is going to be on the interview panel, and I'm working with him to set up dates that we can set up the interviews to accommodate the solicitor. He's on trial right now.
And so how many prospective applicants do we have?
There were 7 that we deemed that were related to this field, yes.
And do we know if all 7 are still open to interviewing?
I believe they are, but I will find out for you, yes.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Next, Mr. Tromley.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, so Allison Ring is doing about 10 hours per week, you stated. What are her tasks is she doing the whole work of the planner or specific tasks?
She is going to send a contract to myself and the solicitor to look at. And that we'll go from there as far as what those hours will entail. But I believe she'll be able to look at a range of different things for the town.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Now, discussion and action regarding the harbor master.
Yes, Mr. President, and members of the council, I just wanted to let you know that the interview panel that came up with 2 very well-qualified candidates for this position. And I believe that sometimes that doesn't really happen often where you have 2 very well-qualified candidates. But one candidate, I did interview both of them, and one candidate, he was a little bit ahead of the second candidate. And I would ask that you would approve the appointment of Joseph Silva as the harbor master. He's well-versed in what takes place here. He can hit the ground running, And I think that he would be an asset to the staff here in the town of Warren.
Mr. Silva, come on down. Get up here. You don't think you're gonna. This is my 6th grade wrestling coach. So you got anything to say?
Sorry?
Anything you want to say?
No, just thanks for the opportunity.
Those who don't know, he's our current assistant harbor master, and we should make a motion to welcome aboard officially as the Warren harbor master.
And he's also a member of
the class of
1979.
Hey. All right, so
I'll second that
there
motion.
you go. Everybody, all in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Joe. Mr. Kemp, Chairman, you have anything you want to add? There's an open mic and it's not 9 o'clock yet. You got 30 seconds.
All right, I'll be quick. I was part of the interview process. We did come up with 2 great candidates. Joe is doing the job right now. He's been at the Harbor Commission meetings, doing a great job right now. We are really happy that he's came on board. And if the budget could handle it, we'd like to maybe offer something to the number 2 candidate to help us out as well too, as an assistant.
Well, we're not talking about the budget, so you just ruined it.
But isn't there an open position now that Joe's moving up? Was Joe an assistant?
Joe was an assistant.
Correct,
So
so,
there's an open position that could be filled, correct?
all right, let's stick to the agenda.
I
You
was-
were supposed to come down and say, great, fellas.
He's great.
Um,
I'm very excited. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And the reason that
Joe's a great
Mr. Kemp is involved is because it's part of the charter, actually. The chairman of the Harbor Commission is part of the review team that hires the manager. So here we go. You're official. Get out of here.
Thank you.
Now, we have discussion and action regarding good news, the U.S. Economic Development Administration and a grant. This was obtained by Gina Raimondo, I believe. Or isn't that her? I don't know.
That was her
There you
department,
go.
yes,
So-
yes, absolutely.
I'm not gonna take any thunder. Go right ahead.
Yes. So yes, as you stated, Mr. President, this is a grant from the Economic Development Corporation. And it is covers the damage that was done during the floods, I believe it was 2021 at the wastewater treatment plant. It affected the electrical system down there. And this grant is to do the upgrades on this electrical system. If you recall, this grant required a match for the town. At the time, we had difficulty making that match, and the prior planner, Mr. Durfee, was able to get the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management to agree to a grant that they had given the town for a pump station to be able to use as the match for this $3.1 million.
Nice.
So there is no match required by the town, where the town does not have to have a match itself. But this is a reimbursement grant. So what that means is that we would have to put some money up front to begin with and to get drawdowns from the federal government. I do not know how much it would be, depending on what the bills would be. So if the bill was $50,000, we would have to have the $50,000 to cover that. I'm sorry.
You're not talking.
I'm not talking, no, I'm sorry. No, not millions at a time, no.
But, so we'll have questions when he's done with the presentation, but Mr. Rego is correct. We're gonna have to make sure that whatever work is being done, we can handle at the time. So please continue with what you have to say.
This grant has to be accepted by the town. It has not been accepted yet. As the authorized agent, I would have to accept it, and hence I wanted to get the permission from the town council to accept this, because that would mean that we would realize that we have it as a reimbursement grant. One of the other issues is that there are any cost overruns. Those cost overruns would be the responsibility of the town. We can't go back to the Economic Development Agency and ask for additional money. So,
Mr. Rego, if let him finish and then we'll have questions. Please.
And I did check with the individual who's working with the town from economic development, and she did tell me that going back to the reimbursement process, it's probably a 1, maybe 2 weeks at most as far as getting the money. It's not like some other grants where you have to wait 3 or 4 months to get reimbursed. Probably 1 or 2 weeks. The federal government does not want money sitting in anybody's account. So once they give the money, they want you to pay it right out right away. So
So are you done in your presentation for this?
I am.
Are there any other questions? Then we can go back to Mr. Rego. Any other questions? People who haven't asked anything? Mr. Hanley?
Brian, this is not only to make the repairs, but it's also to raise the equipment so we meet the flood requirements, correct? Wasn't that part of the deal?
I don't know if it's to elevate anything down there. I know it is to create a concrete channel or concrete tunnel, so to say, so that it doesn't happen again, I believe, but I'm not aware of
I believe
elevation.
it's a redundancy system.
Correct.
Because unfortunately, we didn't have the money. This was one of the things that we cut out.
We took it out. of the-
Where it's located now isn't raised. If we go with it, it may not be water secured, but this will be. Mr. Trombley.
So as far as the project goes, when I looked at the cost classification, about 750,000 was for project inspection fees and about 400,000 was for contingencies. Can you explain what those are, please?
Well, the 414 is for contingencies. Something happens that they weren't prepared to, or they didn't see. They dig up the ground and they find something that they have $414,000 available to address those issues.
So essentially, we have a $400,000 buffer built in before cost overruns really get going. so to
Yes.
speak. And then, as far as project inspection fees, those are,
So, forgive me because I wasn't part of this. I didn't put this plan together. This happened.
That's fair.
But I believe that would be for an outside engineer or someone to.
I believe it's gonna be for a third-party inspection.
Okay.
Which basically, obviously, this falls way outside of the building official,
Mhm.
electrical inspectors. I mean, there's gonna be part of it in there, but a lot of it is like heavy concrete. And so there's certain specialized
Specialists.
inspectors, and they actually look out for it. They're kind of our representative as well. They're
Mhm.
our eyes, like, to make sure that it's done according to the bid specification.
all right, understood, thank you. And as far as overspending, I know this is a $3.3 million project. In terms of what can really the town afford if there are overages beyond what we expect there to be, beyond that 3.3 million?
From my point of view right now, I would say 0.
Nothing.
Good answer.
Ms. Cronin,
I have nothing.
Mr. Rego.
Well, that was my concern. Not so much the contingency, but do we have a game plan? Because when we went to this contract, we're all in. So we need to make sure that we have X amount of dollars and get an idea of how they're gonna disperse. I mean, if they need 500 at a time, do we have 500 to hold us back until the 4 weeks or 1 million? And I guess that's my concern. As long as we have it, I think we're gonna be fine. Something's better to measure twice and not once, so to speak.
Yes.
Well, our pay calendar is gonna be very, very, very important.
Right.
And I think we should ask Mr. DeSisto here, what are our legal obligations if we were to approve this tonight? What are we bound by? If we don't spend any money, we don't owe any money.
You have to go forward. I understand, Councilman Rego's concerns and Councilman Trombley's concerns, I do. But I think you have to go forward with it on it, and to the extent that there are overages after that, I think you're gonna have to address it when the time comes. But if you go forward with it now, there's always that risk.
Okay. Mr. Burlingame,
The contract.
could you please come for the public on the,
Contract requires that it be completed in
43 months. So if you divide 3 million by 43, we did it this afternoon, it's about 75,000 bucks a month. So that hopefully would be about the average of what we have to shell out for the 2 weeks before we get reimbursed. And we can easily afford that.
Okay, I love your confidence. Any other questions? Okay, is there a motion to have the manager accept this grant?
So moved.
Second.
And seconded by Mr. Hanley, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here we go. Now,
Thank you.
discussion and action regarding the ARPA monies.
So if you recall, last month, we talked about there was gonna be some extra money, left over from the opera money because of actually the tanks at the wastewater treatment plant.
Mhm.
And I think last month I had told you that there would be about, $263,176, but, at that time, I neglected to include, there was a $10,000 payment that we needed to make to, Woodward and Curran, from
That money we owed.
that money that we owed, yes, and we still do owe them some money, but
Was it Fuss and O'Neill?
there's a fuss on it, I'm sorry, yeah,
But I
sorry,
remember what you're talking about, the payback.
correct. But we found out that that was covered by Opera because the work that they had done was in the time frame that we could use this money for that type of
So we
work.
can.
So we did,
Okay.
yes. So there's a little bit of money that we still owe them, but not as much as that was before. So that gives us the availability of, and I believe you have a new spreadsheet here with the availability of $253,733. And I did give you a memo with some options for using this money. And I'll go down those if that's all right, Mr. President, or,
Sure, but the one, when it says repairs to stairway leading, oh yeah, go down them, but right off the bat, I want to know, like, remember we discussed the outside
Yes.
facade on where it used to be the.
the fire, the door for the fire station?
well,
Yeah,
Left-hand
windows,
side
yeah.
of coming corner,
Yes.
The eastern corner of the building. Are we dealing with that?
Yes, so we have if you, on that
Mr.
spreadsheet,
Wheeler was,
on the spreadsheet, we have a town hall repairs, $20,000.
oh, all right. I thought it
That's
said-
that is earmarked for that area down there.
Oh, over here.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, we went over this last month.
Yes.
I guess what I got thrown on is I saw this 21 and I thought it was replacing the other.
Correct.
So please. Go right ahead.
So, 220,000, could be obligated for obtaining new finance software. We could, do repairs, use 21,000 for repairs here in, the front entranceway, paint and, the doorway downstairs for coming up to the second floor of town hall. Upgrade of the townwide camera network. Right now, the DVR, which is the device that records the cameras for the town hall, police station, is malfunctioning. It's not recording all of the cameras that needed to be recorded. And right now, it's on a Band-Aid approach. It's going to fail at some point. It needs to be repaired or so that we have that data. Cameras that you can watch the camera, but on some of the cameras, you cannot go back and play what took place either yesterday.
Upgrade to the cameras.
Joe, I just did the math. I think that
Mr. Hanley, go ahead.
the finance software is key, because every time we get a new treasurer, nobody knows the stupid system we have.
Right.
So we need to move over to more common stream. So based on Brian's number on the second spreadsheet, that leaves us about $33,000 left. So if we do that and we do the town cameras, we'll still have roughly, doing the math quick in my head, we'll have about 11,000 for
one of the other projects or whatever on the list. Just keeping a running total if we do both of those.
And we have emergency, we have EMS stuff.
Yeah. So if we do the software and the cameras, let's call that 22, so it's 242 expended out of 253, it leaves us about $11,000 left if we do those two.
Chief, what's the story with these, I'm sorry, Mr. Sullivan?
Yes,
Are you prepared to answer questions on all of these things?
I would defer to the fire chief
All right, 'cause
because he's more the expert on
I'm always
those
a
type
big
of things.
fan of bad paint can stay.
Yes.
Something that saves somebody's life, needs to be purchased. So Chief, if you could help
And
us
we-
out on our decision.
When just scopes, it's just a intubation device that allows EMTs to intubate a patient using a video screen to help guide in to the right position. The ones we have currently don't function anymore.
So we have about $11,000, or we could add the 21,000 by getting rid of the stairs. So that gives you about 32 grand. What are you looking at?
Wait,
No.
We didn't
No,
have
no.
cameras in there. We had the cameras in the software.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
that
didn't-
was
We
it?
didn't have
Yeah.
the stairs in.
Oh, so the stair painting's
We
already
don't have
gone?
enough left for it to add the stairs.
All right, so I was confused again with my outside project. So that's on the other page. We have that. We don't have the stairs. And, all right, so you guys know what we're doing better than me. Help them, help me. What are
Mr.
we
Council
doing?
President.
Go right ahead.
If I'm doing the math correctly in my head, based on what is remaining, if we were to do the new finance software and the townwide camera network, we would have exactly $11,000 left.
All right, so that's
And
where
that-
we were.
Yes.
So
That'll be
Chief,
Enough for that one, yeah.
you might have $11,000 and you got about 14 days to figure it out. Right?
I mean,
That's an easy.
if we go with if we go with the kits, I think we can make up the $186.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
that seems pretty easy to do, and that you would prioritize over the other three items that, you know, mathematically would take a little more massage.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we obligate the unobligated opera money, $220,000 to new finance software, $21,000 to the repair to the stairway leading to the second floor.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh, excuse me, you're
Yeah,
right.
remember that's,
22,276 to the upgrade of the townwide camera system, and 11,186 to the 3 glide scope monitor kits for EMS.
and there's a total of?
For a total of, I believe it's 53,186, I think.
270,000?
Yeah, 200 and it's $186 more than we have left, so let's go. We had 253,733.55. So to spend 253,84859.55. Is that math right?
Mr. Barone, do you have that? Okay, is there a second?
I'll second, but I have discussion on this.
Discussion.
If I may, Mr. President.
You may.
So, Mr. Sullivan, for those three items, what is the target date to completely spend that funding that we are allocating?
So the target date to spend that money is 2025.
Okay.
We have to
The-
have it in writing this year. That's the.
My concern is that, as I think we all in the council are aware, but maybe the public is not, we have to allocate these fundings by December 31st of this year, but they must be fully expended by December 31st of 2026. So that's why I asked why the target, what are the target dates? So you expect that the three items that we are approving tonight will be all completed before December 31st of 2025?
Yes.
Which I'm glad to hear. But my question is, as a solicitor, if for some reason that this funding is unspent and it doesn't, for some reason the town manager anticipates that it won't be spent, is there a contingency that we can put in this allocation to say, if that happens, that we can claw that back as a town council and reallocate it to something so that we can make sure that we're spending all of our money and it doesn't get clawed back by the federal government?
No.
No, we can't do that.
So,
Try, though.
but there is a way that it can be done, is if there is extra money, say, the windows downstairs come in at $10,000. We have $10,000 left. That money can be allocated towards a project that was already allocated using opera money. As long as it's already been a project that's already been in the process with the opera money.
You got a little wiggle.
So it can go from one project to another as long as you had that project allocated by 12/31/2024.
Mr. Rego.
So is it possible that we could allocate some of that funds to one of these here that's remaining? Just
No,
like they-
not the,
We can't allocate
In other words,
over,
What you're saying is put us over the amount?
yeah, we can't do
And
that.
then if one
Then I'm
comes out.
losing you what you're saying, so if.
Wait, gentlemen.
Anything on this sheet.
Gentlemen.
If it's leftover money, we can put it on that sheet.
Gentlemen,
But
please.
not on this sheet.
Correct, because those are not.
Mr. Hanley.
Yeah.
Lewis, put in a question
I just did.
to Mr. Sullivan. And then let's get an answer. And then if Mr. Hanley has something to add, 'cause I didn't hear anything you guys just discussed.
Right,
No.
so if you're short, in other words, the price comes in a lot less, that excess cash, it doesn't go back, we can allocate it somewhere else, that's what you just said.
you can allocate it to something that you've already allocated opera money for. So let me, so like,
Here,
correct, yes. So like say, the easiest way would be to look at if, the software comes in at $200,000. So we have $20,000 left. We could allocate that extra $20,000 to the camera system because we've already used opera money
Or
as a project.
Road paving.
Or road paving, correct,
Road
yes,
paving's the best.
Yes.
example. There you go.
yes. We
Okay,
couldn't create a new project with that money, but we've already had that project.
okay, so we have a motion, we have a second, we have discussion, all in favor?
I have one more question.
Oh, Ms. Cronin, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to confirm the amount that we are approving, because when I add the three, I get 253,462. Is that the amount that we are,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your numbers.
just the three items here, the 220, the 22,276, and then the 11,186
Is how much?
comes out to 253,462.
Ms. Barone, is that the number we approved in the motion?
I had 253,859.55 is what John, Hanley had said.
So I keep adding it up here.
John's
and
gonna do it again, and then we'll have
And
it
then-
doubled, and then we'll see.
If I minus from the available amount of 253,733.55, that leaves us $271.55 to still spend. But maybe John's
I come up with
the number
those
guy.
three items we picked, I come up with 253,462.
Yes, and we have 253,733.55. So so that leaves us an additional $271.55.
Which
to
we
spend.
can spend on pavement.
So we can put that into one of these other pre-existing
tar.
items. Okay,
So-
I have a second question.
Yes, Ms. Cronin.
On the, on this sheet that you gave us, in the list of things, there is a name here, and I'm just, Doreen Rousseau, what did we give her money for? Who is she?
I believe that was for facade work.
That, okay, I was gonna say, because is that is that Doreen on Water Street? That was a storefront improvement money?
Yes.
That was
Yes,
paid at
yes.
the end of the cycle, the rest of it hit, okay, thank you.
That was when Mr. Borges was sitting in the manager's chair.
Yes.
So
Okay.
we're gonna add that, $230-something dollars. So
It was 271?
55, 271.55 can be rolled into one of these
Yeah,
other,
I'm gonna add two for the I'm just gonna put it on the big one. So in other words, instead of 220,000 for the software, I'm gonna we're gonna change that number to 220,200 and what was it? $271.55.
271.55 is what we're adding to the 220.
And that will give us a total allocated to 253,733.55.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a motion. Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Barone, did you get the new number? And remember, everybody, it really doesn't matter, because when all of this comes back,
But we had
whatever money
changed
is
because we
there,
had to take the 10 out.
if there's any left over, it can be reallocated to asphalt. Keep pushing that, because we don't have any asphalt. We have $100,000. Next, moving on. So we did that one. The agenda is now discussion and action regarding the rail replacement at the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, Mr. President. So that I just wanted to update you on the progress of the rail replacement. I was informed that tanks 2, 3, and 4 have been completed. And tank 1 is just the one that remains to be completed down in there. So they're moving along pretty quickly.
Nice. No action needed. Number 6, discussion and action regarding the wastewater treatment HVAC system.
I was informed today that heat is up and running at the wastewater treatment plant. They ran into a couple of pump issues that they're working on. They think it's computer related, but the heat is on and they do have heat down there.
Excellent, good work. Any questions anyone has for the manager on any of those items that we just dealt with? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the solicitor, we have discussion, we have a request for a motion for executive session, closed session pursuant to 4246(5), subsection A5, potential litigation, Carton versus Warren. There a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
we need a roll call. Miss Vice President Cronin,
Aye.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Mr. Hanley, Mr. Rego. Aye for myself. Next, Finance Director, Revenues and Expenditures. Mr.
We had a good-
Burlingame, come on down.
We had a good month in November.
Okay.
Typically, November is one of our lowest revenue months. The last 3 years, it's averaged about 1.5 million. We had a couple of unexpected surprises this year. We got $180,000 in the state tangible tax payment, which we weren't sure when that was coming. We also got a $376,000 reimbursement for the Burrs Hill project. We still owe 90,000 of that, so it's not all free money. But we're in very good shape heading into December. We'll get through December. The tax collections will start to roll in mid-January in anticipation of the 1 February collection date. The one thing that did jump out at me in the report that you have is the lack of sewer usage fees posted to date, and that was an oversight. That'll be corrected by the next meeting. Current payments to date have been 862,810, but that'll be posted. The finance department focus remains on the audit. We're making very good progress in getting all the materials that Mayor Sahady needs. We're working with, we had a little bit of a hiccup. The guy we're working with, the accountant that we're working with, Dave Hanson, got sick. And so he was out for a few days, but he's back on the job. I talked to him today. He has completed the capital asset section, and that's ready to go in. He's also completed reconciling the debt, which is a key component. And the last thing that both of us are working on is the AR, which is primarily what taxes we're still expecting. But we expect to have substantially all of it in by the end of the week. And then it goes into the accountant's hands, and we're kind of out of it. The next big project that is coming up is we're going to start working on the budget. In December, the town manager and I are going to meet with all the department heads and get a feel for what they're looking for. Provide a little bit of a guidance if we have any by then. The first public hearing is on January 14th, believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. And then the DH request to the town manager on January 31st.
and then we provide them to you on February 28th. So there's not a heck of a lot of time. That's it. Any questions?
Mr. DeSisto, we have a member here from our audit committee. I could put him on the spot. Is it appropriate if I can come down and tell us like what he thinks?
I actually hold off on that.
Hold off on that?
Yes.
Okay. We didn't plan anything, but I was just gonna see if Jim had anything to say. Okay, next, Mr. Leadham.
Good evening. Two bookkeeping items. Anytime there's a change to our tax rolls, we need to get approval from the council. So if we could use do you have the memorandum versus the?
I have one that says an abatement of 2024.
An amount of 298.91.
Oh, 91. Okay,
Yeah.
because it says 47.
I think it's
So
just the typo.
we have a motion for 298.91 as an abatement.
Also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? And this is what everybody loves.
And the
In
sec-
addition, correct? Is the number
Correct,
correct?
yep. That number's right.
Motion to add 277647 to the 2024 tax.
There you go. Is there a motion?
Made the motion.
Yeah, I mean, is there a second to the
Second.
motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
So used to listening to you. Ready to second stuff. Okay. Now, Mr. Wheeler's coming down again.
Again.
He's our popular guy.
We've got a lot of good stuff going on. So I just wanted to kind of bring an update to the RIDOT Main Street improvements, and see if there's any questions that you would like myself and the town manager to bring to the planners for this RIDOT project. Basically, they emailed us last week, their finalized plan of trees that are coming out. We're still working on like lining up what trees they're talking about versus what's on the plan. Because between their study and their design from their engineer team, it's a little bit different. Some were suggested to come out in the study that were not in the final design, and some in the design are coming out that were not in the suggestion. So it's just trying to nail down which trees are coming out. I've actually already met with
Mr. Staten involved in that?
yeah, I've already met with him once on it. We're going to continue to meet. So the big thing going forward right now is there's 32 trees that are coming out, which means 64 going in. I've already spoke with the landscape architect that has been hired by the state, which is really a positive outcome because most of the time they don't tell us anything. But they want to kind of stay in the process of talking about what we want to do with these trees, what trees we want to accept to be planted and not accept, being planted in the wrong spots. Working with the tree commission, we're going to identify where the trees are coming out and where the new trees are going to be going in to see if we can get off of the curb plantings, behind the curb plantings. The state can't offer that program, but the town of Warren can. So we'll just be asking the state to sign those trees over to the town of Warren so that we can then have residents sign the waiver that we have, so it would not hinder the ADA accessibility of
Public
the
tree on
sidewalks.
private property and they can feel ownership and.
Correct.
And then
Like I said, the
proves
state doesn't have a
success.
program that allows that, but
Yep.
we do. So basically, realistically, I'm looking for kind of guidance on if there's any questions that you guys want to see answered in the next month or two that we can bring to the planners for RIDOT, because they're keeping us informed as much as they can, but usually it's last minute when they're asking us. They sent an email and said, "What's your thoughts?" And we had just seen the email. So
Mr. DeSisto, would it be appropriate for council members individually to email Mr. Wheeler, or does it have to come through the council like next month with these
You can do it
ideas?
individually.
So if anybody has anything they want to add that he wants to bring to this meeting, and so. feel
and
free.
I've spoke with the
This
tree
is South
commission.
Main Street we're talking about.
Yep, and I spoke with the tree commission about making sure that we are staying on top of this. I'm happy that the engineer reached out. The problem I have run into is that we don't have a really solid plan of what can and can't be planted. So we're trying to steal and borrow some plans from other cities and towns that have a good program. Providence actually has a really good street program, street tree program. So we're working with them, with tree commission and other experts in this field to make sure that we get the best for this.
I love London Plains. Any questions?
Yeah,
Mr.
do
Hanley?
we have, is there a time frame when there will actually be a map when the trees that are coming down will actually be identified?
So I have a map. I don't know if it's for public yet. That they didn't say, they just sent it to us. So
Well, until, yeah, I don't want to send out a preliminary and get excited when it's not, when they decide, when they make their decision, then I think we gotta let the public know which trees,
Yeah,
so
sure.
they know what's going on, so we don't.
Sure, thanks.
They don't just wake up one morning and the state's cutting down their tree.
right. No, and working with the tree commission, we're trying to identify those as well so that we can see if there's any trees that are going to be hot topics. I know a lot of them are, but there are some that are more than others.
Mr. Rego?
All right, question for you. I know placing trees is a problem because sometimes you're limited area. But we had areas in town where there were trees there that died, and there's areas that if one drives by and we know a tree belongs there, what is the hesitation to just plant a tree there?
It depends on the area. I'd have to see it. So we've been working with the tree commission to plant the trees back in the tree pits, but equipment is always an issue. Anything on Main Street becomes tough because we only have a fairly large backhoe. So
I'm not just talking about Main Street, I'm talking, do we have trees that we could plant tomorrow if we,
yeah, we've been working with Chuck, and his guys have actually been planting some for us. We've identified a couple parks that they're going in. Some of the stuff we're going to talk about is for Burrs Hill that will be for more planting of trees.
Ms. Cronin, anything?
I do have a question, and hopefully I can have the latitude to ask it because the agenda item is update regarding RIDOT Main Street improvements. On Main Street, we have these new signal things that are supposed to, provide safety for people when crossing right there in front of Delecta's. They don't work and they're ugly as sin, and there's two of them on one side and one of them on the other side. What's up?
Those signals are not on yet. The contractor has to coordinate that through Rhode Island Energy. There are some other issues with the project that I've identified with RIDOT. RIDOT has not done a final inspection on it. In my opinion, we won't be accepting it in the state it's in at the moment. It's not to the design that was given to us. So that has been a continuous talk with RIDOT.
Why are there two on right next to each other?
I believe they're removing that, or they already have, but it's supposed to,
But somebody put it in knowing that the other one was there.
one was coming out and I don't know if, I haven't checked it recently because I haven't had a chance
We had a
to.
meeting on the 22nd last month,
Yes.
and the
We
project
identified,
inspector was very disappointed with the whole job. So the good thing is that the state person that's supposed to sign off on it, am I saying this correctly?
so
Somebody is.
the project manager for DOT acknowledges that there was some issues. The designer of the project, who is not from the DOT, acknowledged that there are major issues with the implementation of it. Materials used, ADA accessibility, that's not met at the moment. So we are, prior to it being turned over to the town, as in all sidewalks that the state puts in, I will fight until I'm told I can't, to not accept that because it's not to the standard of the town.
So those who are wondering, we didn't ask for this thing. I mean, we all know what tragically took place at this intersection, but we would never ask. There was never a design review. There's a control box on the side of it that hits you right in the head.
Yep.
It's right at head level. It's bizarre. So he's working on it. Mr. Trombley, you have anything you want to add to this?
Thank you.
Okay, so do the best you can do. We're working on it. And I'm gonna plant some trees. Update on the transfer station scale.
Yep, so we have, the pit has been updated. They added 4 inches to the pit, which in turn gave us 2 new approaches because they had to obviously raise the approaches. Those were at no cost to the town, so that's a huge win for us. All the major components have been delivered except for the actual scale deck itself. that is scheduled to be delivered on Wednesday of next week, with a 100-ton crane coming in to move it into place. So that should be a sight to see. Today, we laid the binder for the asphalt around the pit because we obviously had to make some adjustments to the roadway. We've also widened it slightly, and we've removed the fence that was falling down, and we're putting up a more aesthetic looking fence. It'll be more economical for snow removal as well.
The one on the right, because I think that serves a purpose.
Yes, it's going to be replaced with more of a wooden style fence that you would see at like Colt State Park or any of the major parks that, you know,
But
can
it's
still
gonna
hold.
keep a car
Yep,
from
it'll
going
keep
down that hill.
vehicles from going down as well as
Yeah.
let us plow snow off the edge of the hill there without being stopped. We
Okay.
have a new scale indicator coming, and we also have a speaker for residents who are coming up to the scale, so we'll be able to talk back and forth with an intercom system. And we have new software being installed as well. So
I like how we were always like Captain Pike. You either have
The
the
green-
the
the
green or the
green light,
red.
yeah.
or-
there is no
it's
longer
like
going to be a
communicating with
traffic
Captain
light
Pike.
telling you what to do.
Because there was 2 green lights with numbers on them. You couldn't.
I used to just, whatever.
So now the outside of the scale house, there will be an indicator telling you your weight and telling you, have
Wow.
an X saying don't go and a full circle saying go.
Wow. Mr. Rego.
So the goal is to have it up and running by January, right after the holiday. The only holdup is going to be weather at this point. We'll see how the 3 inches of rain does tomorrow with the pit. It was draining perfectly fine the last time. We cleaned out the pit so it would drain properly, but they're not going to operate in the weather. We have. We've lost about, well, I'll say between $5,000 and $6,000 right now. It's not as much as it would have been. November's a slow month, so.
Okay, next discussion, any other questions? Next discussion, action regarding planting a London plane tree at Burrs Hill. Remember everybody here, we've already given permission, previous council to plant trees down in the old ball fields. So we can try to, make the grass green and have people taking respite under a nice big canopy in the summer. And so
Yep, this was one of those we wanted just to kind of inform everybody and make sure that the council
yeah.
knew what we were doing. On top of this particular project, there are some trees at Burrs Hill that will be coming down this winter. They've reached their life cycle, so we will replace them. They're hanging kind of over properties on Hale Street, and we've had numerous complaints from the residents on Hale Street where limbs are falling in their backyards. So with that happening, we're going to remove some of those and then work with the tree commission to replace those as well. But Mr. Staton has a couple of good ideas. This London plane is one of the big ones. It's going to help provide shade in the future. It's not going to interfere with the Parks and Rec programs or the ball field if we ever need to use it.
we don't have a ball field there.
I have
Right.
some information relevant to number
Please.
3. Can I?
Please,
can I-
absolutely. But remember, there's no ball field there. And previous council gave permission to plant that bowl. We want trees, we want a path, and
I don't know if I know when the discussion came up, but I don't think we approved planting.
well, we can.
Yeah, I think we should research. We discussed it, but I don't think we actually took a vote to place them in the ball.
Okay, so Ms. Barone, if you could just find that back in the minutes for us, not tonight, for the future. But, yeah, because, we were interested in looking at that. Because we've got all the ball fields that we need, and that's just a dust bowl down there.
Yeah, and
And the
Working-
park program, if you look in the daytime, you go by, they're all under like the trees that are there.
yeah, and working with the tree commission and Chuck, we want to make sure that we do it the right way and plant trees that are going to last and survive.
So a good success tree, ratio, calendar, 23 years ago, the tree at Massasoit Park on Water Street
Yeah.
was planted. It was a 12-foot London plane.
London plane tree.
And look at that tree now. So
Yeah.
a lot of trees we don't get to see the benefit of in our lifetime. Go ahead, Mr.
So
Staton.
we happen to, with our budget from last year's fiscal year, we purchased a London plane tree in anticipating planting it in a public space. And now we're recognizing a space to plant it at Burrs Hill Park.
Nice.
So you'll see that, we want to plant it where the hill kind of meets the parking lot of Burris Hill Park. And I did meet with the Recreation Director Tara, to make sure she was fine with this, and it wasn't interfering with any summer activities or tents or things happening. And she said, absolutely not. So we'd like to plant the London plane tree.
She said absolutely not. It's not interfering.
It's
with
not
anything.
interfering.
Correct.
And she wanted to avoid the ball fields, and we are, whether, you know.
All right, we're
initially
gonna have
not,
that
but we
discussion
are
in the future.
We are not interfering with ball fields. So the London plane, it will be the big one, and it's kind of like the anchor tree for that corner to give shade of Burris Hill Park. And then we recognize that we could, for now, because we don't have the funds, but we have the funds for 2 more trees in our budget. Plus, we solicited some funds. We'd like to plant, we're asking for permission to plant 2 more. And that's when you walk into the park, walk into Burris Hill Park from the parking lot, the beach parking lot. 2 more big shade trees. And part of this is also to provide canopy for the town, and I am part of the Canopy Council as well. And also the memorial trees that we started so many years ago on the north end of the beach. We started that program, we started planting trees there. Some of them are dying because the sea level has
Salt
risen.
water, yeah.
So what's living there
They're
is
flooded.
staying there.
Mm.
The Zelkovas actually are still living there, but some of them have died. So we need a place to put these memorial trees that have died. And of course, you want to put them in a public park, or not a street tree, in other words. So that's why we're asking permission to plant these 3.
I know we want to relocate, Mrs. Nolan's tree, I think,
She's
died,
one of them,
right? So that's,
yes.
something that, this is bringing back a memory that Mary and I had a discussion about. So that's great.
And Mary calls me from time to time.
Lots of things.
No,
Oh,
no.
oh, she called-
We're
okay,
friends.
yeah, I know.
But she reminds me.
Right, and she reminds me. So this reminds me, let's plant those trees. Good
Thank
job.
you.
And I think we should really try to get the word out. Is the press still here? Because the bench memorials were a great success, almost to the point where we have so many benches. If we can have the same success with the trees that last, way past our lifetime. And it'd be a great memorial. And I'm so glad that people do it, but I really would love to emphasize that trees are our friend. Other than the ones in the Wizard of Oz, but
I will make a motion that we approve the planting of the London plane tree at the location proposed by the Director of Public.
there's a second.
I'll second.
And
Any
there's,
more
well,
discussion?
there's the London plane and 2 shade trees we're talking about.
And London plant and 2 shade trees as shown in the second
There you go.
drawing.
And I still second.
Thank
All
you
right,
very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have an extension on the leave and yard pickup until the end of December. How's that going?
It's good. It's slowing down, but it's just typical. We do this every year.
And press, let them know. That's
I will
it.
have to change that.
Come
ordinance.
January, it's over. Mr. Rago, please.
So when will you start picking them up again after December?
Pick them up in April. We start again in April. So January turns into the Christmas tree pickup. And then we start picking up again in April 1st.
I just gotta say, that guy that picks up the, he is a machine. I have never seen somebody work so hard in my life.
That's our guy.
He is.
It's his favorite part of his job.
That's our leave guy.
But yeah, it's just one of those things where I think we'll definitely have to adjust that ordinance to just read towards the end of December. Because it kind of handcuffs us with the last couple weeks of the season.
Do we need an action on that? That just falls under you. If you want to.
It's actually in the ordinance, so I just like to give it
Is
to
there a
you.
motion to extend the leave pickup until the end of December?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, the town clerk is requesting approval for 2024 town council meeting schedule. And it's in front of you. Ms. Barone, anything you want to add?
Give me, I guess schedule for the year, I just changed, the one for Veterans Day. I instead will have the meeting on Monday obviously, instead of the Tuesday.
Correct, so it's November 10th.
Monday, yeah, the 10th. Other than that, it's, everything stays. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Or any discussion on that? All in favor? All right, we're gonna
executive session.
Motion. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to seal the minutes of what was discussed in executive session? Motion. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn? No, there's. Motion to direct the solicitor to act as directed in executive session. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second. Aye. All in favor? Aye. Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
John.
Yes, sir.
I got an email.